and then I can download it or save it.
Oh, okay. It's got the little drag logo
Yep.
there. Okay.
And yeah, it is totally free, 100%.
How hard is it to make your own?
It's, you know, it's really not hard. If you want, we can just get Kahoot.com.
I've never saved it to my Google Drive. Do you have to log into Kahoot with your Google Drive? Like, do you have to connect them to be able to save it to your Google Drive? Or probably you can just the first time you do it, it gives access. Okay.
So real quick, we can just create a new Kahoot. We'll do a quiz. Let's say testing. Go. And so question 1, what's our question? What color is Chris's shirt? And so then we have 4 answer choices down at the bottom. We have black, brown, pink, and purple. But you can just choose what is the correct answer down here, or you can select 2 correct answers. So you can have multiple answers in a Kahoot quiz. You can also delete it so that they only have 2 or 3 to choose from. So you could just do true and false questions if you want.
Or a survey.
Or a survey, right? Yeah. So that was one of the other types of quizzes you could create, was a survey. And so then you've got time limit, 20 seconds is the default there. And you could change it all the way up to 2 minutes. And then you can make your kids mad and throw in some questions that aren't worth any points.
You can also put videos in. You can also, you can add a question here. You also can duplicate a question. So if you're going to have like a 10 or 20 question quiz where all the questions are really similar, like let's just say you were going to use this for something really horrible, like a Math Minute type of quiz, you can just duplicate your question a bunch of times and just change your numbers real quick. Just make it a little faster for making those questions quickly.
And so you go through, you save and continue, let's say we're done with our quiz. You can give it a description, you can set it to private or public. Depending on my purpose of the assignment, I set it to private a lot of times, just so that it's just for me. But then you give it all these things, you save and continue. I have to select an audience. Sweet. And then this is where I was telling you you could have a little fun. You could embed a YouTube video into that login screen right there. Say done. And now you can go play it, you can edit it, or you can go and preview it and have some fun with your kids. Any other Kahoot questions before we move on?
So if you make it public.
So just like the one we did, the 100-question quiz, I found that. I searched for it, right? And so when you make it public, that means other people can search for your stuff.
Oh, okay, then they can drop it into their Kahoots and then run it themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like we could type in AP Physics, and I bet we'll find something. Oh no!
Oh
gosh.
How about AP Lang? Oh, thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, you were just searching for feature. Good call.
AP Lang. So there's a few to choose from. Right? Now I gotta try physics just to make sure.
Well, that's what we should have used. I want some physics.
But this has a cool frog. That looks like fun. Right? So there's a lot to choose from there. All right, so that's Kahoot. It's really simple, and it's a great entry point for students. I've seen a lot of amazing turnaround in my class engagement when I do these. And the best part about it is they got to a point where like they would know we would be doing a review for an exam, and they'd be like, "Are we going to do a Kahoot?" And that was like their mode. They just turned right into that because they had fun with it. And then the next one is called Quiz Is.
I've had kids create quizzes themselves too and have them
It's pretty similar.
use that
Absolutely.
as a review.
Real quick, she just had a great idea, and we mentioned it on Monday, and we forgot. Have your students create Kahoots.
Right.
And have them quiz each other.
So
Yeah.
do it independently and
So we're going to get started here. Yeah, having students create an assessment is a great assessment, for sure.
do it so that it would be a class activity.
So we're going to launch this quizzes. It's going to operate pretty much the exact same way as Kahoot. One of my things about quizzes that I think is better is that the question actually shows up on your device or the student's device. So they don't have to have access to the screen. In fact, this last year I was doing Kahoot a lot with my juniors, and I had a student who was on homebound for a while, and I got used to him being gone. And when he came back, I forgot that he was legally blind and couldn't see the screen. And so Kahoot was not really a very good option for those class periods that he was in, so that ended up not being good. But quizzes, however, he could do because he had an iPad that he could zoom in on places and see the right answers. So because he could control that, we could use quizzes. So the same essential things as quizzes, but the best thing about, or the same things as Kahoot, but the best thing about quizzes is once you answer a question as a student, it moves you to the next question right away, if I have it set it up that way. So I don't have to wait for the whole class. That's a great thing if you want students to do something on their own, but it takes away that conversation about why are people getting those questions wrong right off the bat. So you will see this on the screen, and once we have some people join, this is just a quick 5-question thing. And there'll be a few questions that I didn't change from Monday. So,
Way cooler icons though, that's for sure.
the other thing with quizzes is if you answer a question correctly, on your device you will see a picture or a meme that supports you and says, nice job. If you don't get the question right, you get a nice little meme that's kind of, aw, shucks, try again. And there's sound on your device. I learned that the first time I decided to try quizzes in the middle, and all of a sudden my room was just exploding with noises.
Sounds like a casino.
Yeah, it totally sounded like a casino floor.
That's a good thing.
All right, give it just a few more seconds. Now, once I click Start Game, you'll be able to self-pace yourself and go through the questions because you're the students. However, I'm going to keep the screen up so that you can see what the teacher view would look like. I wouldn't project the teacher view because it gives me a tracker of each student in the class and how they're doing. It's like a progress monitor, and it tells me, like, there are 5 questions, it divides it up into 5, and it tells me which question they got wrong. So I wouldn't display those necessarily, but at the end of it, I would display some of the statistics for it. So let's go ahead and hit Start Game here. And you will notice that as this counts down, your device is going to engage in the game. So after you answer a question, just take a look up at the teacher dashboard and what I see. This is giving me the breakdown by question of how students are doing live.
Oh no. Do this.
Oh, I don't either. Should we guess?
It was the one on Monday. I know, I forgot that we changed. I had that question and that it was date specific.
That's why.
It's all Dave's fault.
It is all my fault.
Check your answers.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
What?
It's cute.
So
I
they,
did.
I'm entering them all wrong on purpose. So the pictures that I'm getting are those, did you put
No, it's automatically. Yep.
See, that's what happens when you have
I did it with scary pictures.
Yeah, those pictures that you saw when you answered the question, those are all just automatically populated whether the question was right or wrong. I had no part in that whatsoever.
Skeleton thing.
Now, the last thing about quizzes that differs from Kahoot is quizzes only allows one right answer. So there's some good things about that, and there's some bad things about that. I like to kind of stump my students and have 2 right answers up there, and to see which one they choose and why, and we have conversations about which one is more popular. So at the end of quizzes, I have this data that once again I can save as that spreadsheet. And when I populate that spreadsheet, it's not as easy to read.
It looks way cooler.
It looks cooler, but it just gives me an overview of how many are correct and wrong. But if I wanted to see what each student got, I have to go all the way across the spreadsheet and then look down here at their percentage. And that's a lot of work. So I don't use it as much as I use Kahoot, but I love that they can answer the questions on their screen. That makes a big deal to me. If Kahoot had that option, I would never use quizzes. But then I've got that data right here that I can view.
Can you save that directly to your drive like you can with Kahoot?
Nope, and it doesn't save directly to Drive. And it's really simple to create your own quiz as well. So it's not anything too difficult. You just name it, add questions. It makes you add a subject. And then you just ask your question.
Oh, but you can upload images. Can you upload video?
No video.
Okay.
And so you can type in questions.
While he's showing this, how many people have played with NearPod?
Yes.
So NearPod is another really great tool, and I don't know if we'll have a chance to really dig into NearPod, but NearPod is the same idea, where you're essentially running a show that is appearing on your student's device. But you can put content in there, you can put slides in there, you can actually put websites in there, and then you can have all these different question types in there. Not just multiple choice or written questions, but they have questions where the students can draw their responses. There's a lot of neat ones. Another really good one that you might get to is called Pear Deck. Has anybody messed with Pear Deck at all? So Pear Deck is nice. Of all of them, I probably would say I like Pear Deck maybe the most if you do the paid version. But in Pear Deck, it syncs right into your Google Drive. And with Pear Deck, there are 3 different views, and that's the thing that kind of trips people up at first. Because with Pear Deck, you have 3 views. One of them is the projector view. It's made for the projector. One of them is the teacher view, specifically for the teacher, and those 2 things are different. And then the third view is obviously the students and what they see.
And are you saying pear like?
Pear, like as in a fruit. Pear Deck. Yep. Pear Deck is freemium, so it's free, but then there's a paid version. Same thing with NearPod.
It's
You can have
on
it for
slide
free.
6.
Yeah, we're going to get to it maybe, but I just wanted to kind of point it out because it goes kind of with these really well.
So another easy tool in something that doesn't require a lot of prep ahead of time is Socrative. And Socrative is basically a digital exit ticket. So if you as a student today in the session just go to Socrative.com, you will see an option in the upper right hand corner that says Student Login. Since you guys are going to be the test students today, go ahead and click Student Login. And then I'll show you what it looks like as the teacher. There are also apps for devices if you want with Socrative. There's a student app and a teacher app because they operate as 2 different functions.
Student login.
So Matt's going to show you this from using this computer. But he could be on his phone walking around the class, running the teacher portion from his phone or a tablet or whatever device he has.
And so I would not necessarily even show this part to my students, what's up on the screen. But they would know that this is my room number because this is a room number that I set up. When you sign up, it gives you a room number, but you can change it later. So I created this room number, so at the beginning of the year, they know Mr. Yubowski's room number is 130313. So anytime I tell them to go to Socrative, they can type that in and enter my session.
And it doesn't have to be numbers, I think, right? It used to be, like we used to colors driving the room.
I don't know.